Hi everybody, this is Dr. Finney, your instructor for developmental psychology. I just wanted to record a short video and talk about the assignment that's coming up, the child observation and game, and it also has a chalk and wire reflection along with it. So I want to talk through the assignment. If after watching this video and reading the assignment you still have questions, that's totally fine. Send me an email or call me or drop by during office hours and I'm happy to talk about it further. This is just a brief intro into the assignment. So I am going to minimize myself, and here on the screen you should see the assignment that you have access to in Blackboard. So the first thing that you see is the competency that you're meeting. So this is what you're proving that you're able to do by completing this assignment. You're going to choose 3 tasks or skills, and you're going to teach those skills to a child or teen. So you're going to need to find a kid somewhere, hopefully one that you know, and teach them 3 tasks or skills. And things that have worked well are tying knots, magic tricks, card tricks, math problems, cracking codes, doing different puzzles, Rubik's Cubes, knitting, other crafts, or helping them with challenging homework. So you want it to be something that's not so difficult that they can't learn it, not so difficult that they get upset, but you don't want it to be too easy either. You want it to be new and challenging. So you're going to teach those 3 things, and while you're doing that, you're going to keep note of their affect and behavior, which just means how they're feeling, how they're acting, and you're going to keep note of your affect and your behavior. And also be sure to ask the student's parent before you start in with this. You don't want to do this without parent permission. So you're choosing a kid, you're teaching them 3 new skills that are fun and challenging but not frustrating, and you're recording how they feel and act about it and how you feel and act about it. That's part 1. And then you're going to sit down and write a paper about that experience. So your paper is going to be 4 to 5 pages, double spaced, Times New Roman, 12-point font. That's pretty standard. And the paper is broken up into these different sections. So the first thing that you're going to do is describe your participant. How old were they? What was their sex? And then what were the things that you taught them? And then you're going to explain why those things were developmentally appropriate. So if you chose a 4-year-old, you're not going to give them something that requires conservation because we know that doesn't come until later. So you want to make sure that whatever you choose is developmentally appropriate and that you can explain why. And then parts B through F are pretty similar. So part B, you're going to analyze the situation, describe the affect and behavior during these episodes from Piaget's point of view. So we talk about Piaget in our cognitive development chapters, and remember he has that stage theory. So you're going to look at what stage your student is in, and then you're going to talk about the learning situation from that theoretical perspective. And then you're going to do the same thing from Vygotsky's point of view. We also talk about Vygotsky in our cognitive development chapters. Remember, he's the guy who was all about scaffolding and teaching students within their zone of proximal development. So be sure to refer to ZPD and instances of scaffolding. Also, if your kid that you're teaching uses private speech or social speech, if they talk to you, then you want to include that as well. So parts B and C are about the cognitive domain, and you're talking about Piaget and Vygotsky. So each of these should be a paragraph. Next, you're going to talk about psychosocial domain. So you're going to write about Kohlberg, and he's the moral development guy, and he is talked about mostly in your book in the middle childhood social emotional chapter. So you want to go into there and talk about what stage of moral development does this situation fit under, pre-conventional, conventional, or post-conventional. If it's all about following the rules for that student, then they're probably going to fit in the conventional stage. But if it's more about the greater good, then they might fit in the post-conventional stage. If they're just worried about getting a piece of candy or getting in trouble if they don't do it, then they're probably in the pre-conventional stage. There's a little more to it than that, so go back to your book and read. But in general, that's what's going on there. And then you're going to talk about it from Erikson's point of view. And remember, Erikson was the stage theorist that talked about those identity crises that you have throughout your life. So trust versus mistrust, and autonomy versus shame and doubt, and initiative versus guilt, and industry versus inferiority. So if you pick a kiddo that's in the middle childhood stage, they might be in that industry versus inferiority stage. So you can talk about how being successful at the task at hand helps promote their feeling of industry and doesn't make them feel inferior, so that it was a positive outcome for that developmental crisis. So you want to talk about it from Erikson's point of view and Kohlberg's point of view, and those are your social emotional perspectives. And then finally, you want to look at it from a physical point of view. You want to talk about physical changes in brain development and use vocabulary from your text. So did they have to use fine motor skills with their small muscles, or were they learning to dribble a ball and maybe they were using their gross motor skills? How did their brain learn and develop throughout this time? Maybe you want to go back and look at the word myeliniation and see if that fits into what happened. There's lots of opportunities there, but all of this comes from your physical development chapters. And then you're going to end with a summary, what you learned, what you do different, and just any information that you have upon reflecting how it went. So that's the whole task. You're teaching 3 skills to a learner. That's either a child or a teen. You're going to take note about how you feel and how they feel. And then you are going to write about it from Piaget's point of view, Vygotsky's point of view, Kohlberg's point of view, Erikson's point of view, and a physical point of view, all of which we've covered in class so far. And then the points associated with each of these are listed down here. It also gives you bullet points about what might be appropriate to talk about in those paragraphs. So if you're talking about Piaget, then you might want to talk about disequilibrium, which is that feeling you get when you're trying to assimilate new information. Are you assimilating or accommodating? Did you lead them in active discovery? And then does the theory adequately explain the learning episode that occurred? So is the stage theory appropriate for that specific kiddo? And then here's Vygotsky, and we talked about ZPD and scaffolding, and Kohlberg, pre-conventional, conventional, or post-conventional, and some examples. Erikson, what stage are they in, and how did that theory explain that learning episode? And then here's some information in physical analysis. Growth, fine and gross motor skills, which we talked about. Coordination, behavior changes, puberty if they're in teenager stage, sensory development if they're younger, and then you want to have that reflection paragraph as well. So after you're done with all of that and you write up the paper, then you are going to record a short video after it's all over, 5 minutes, using this tool, this Screencast-O-Matic tool that I will share with you, and you're just going to talk us through what happened, and that's worth 40 points of your paper. You're just going to talk us through what you wrote in your paper. Don't worry about it at all. It's not meant to be stressful. That's just meant to give you some extra points to boost your grade on this assignment. So hopefully that answers your questions. If you have any more questions, please send me an email. If you need any more clarification, I am happy to help. And I hope you guys had a great fall break and you have a great rest of the week. And I am looking forward to speaking with you soon.